Hi, I'm Beetle, and today... Oh, hello. Wait, What's your favorite scary movie? I thought it would be fun to enter a contest, and I decided I would do everything here on MsPaint. What I'm gonna be doing is designing a character skin for Dead by Daylight. But you may ask, what am I gonna do? Well, I have some good extras that I will be doing. For this video, I will try out 3 things. Those include, first, the lore. This will be a comic that will describe just the story about how the character turned into this. Secondly, I will show you the concepts that I had. I had several concepts while working for this, so it was pretty interesting to check that out. Then finally, I will show you the process that I had to do to get to the final design. Oh, and when looking at the lore, be sure to keep an eye out for the Easter eggs, and if you caught them all, be sure to point them out in the comments. I will be checking those and see if you got all of them right. And if you don't know them, well, don't worry, just enjoy the story. Frank Morrison is someone you may already know. He's the leader of a group of misfits. Julie, Susie, Joe, they always get into trouble, but this time, it was different. After a night out with the group, the police found them, took him in. Frank was already used to this. He would get into trouble and get out of it. He had little to no care for anything that would happen in his life. He was already sick of it. But he still wanted more. He knew there was something special inside of him. Something great. What did I do now? Your blood tests are back, kid. And there's something that we are very interested in. Yeah, so what? Well, you might not be used to this. This implies benefits, status, power, freedom, or you could keep rotting on that cell. Well, not much of a bargain then, but it does sound interesting. I don't care a lot about my future, but if I get a fortune, well, things might change. Then what do you say? We have a deal? What do you want from me? We just want you to help us. It'll be easy for you. This is the best opportunity you will have in your life. Deal? What the heck. Alright. No. No. This is my job. I work for this organization. They do tests on people with help of the government. They hide them from society, and I get rid of them. I'm the cleaner. I take care of their little experiment. They get what they want, and I get to have a little fun. You see, I was immune to that thing, and they needed someone in my profile. I get my benefits, but at the same time, I'm cursed, isolated, never to go back into society. Forever. I carry part of that same virus, a mutated version. That's why they need me. I never expected to retaliate. I was already used to it. But that one day, it all changed. Julie! In that moment, Frank realized his mistake, but it was already too late. There was only one thing left in Frank's mind. Revenge. Storming off into the lab, asking, "How do I save her? How? Tell me!" I'll find the way to make this right. I'll get everyone. And we will be stronger. Bonded by blood. We are The Legion. Wow. Now onto the concepts. I started off with 3 thoughts in my mind. The first would be the prison. I really like the prison archetype. It's usually really well used in various amounts of media, and I wanted to do something like that. Then I thought, well, maybe something like hazardous or a hazmat suit would really fit well with this idea too. And also, I wanted to focus something on graffiti, which is the one that really got more lost during the way. So I started off with an orange suit. The orange is really iconic to the prison archetype, so I felt, well, that's something that works with it. But then also I added some stripes. I wanted to check that same suit and make it yellow, so I can work with the hazmat suit. And that was the moment I kind of fell in love with that idea, so I kept on pushing that idea further. During the concept, I started adding a lot of things. More side gadgets, more straps, more of everything. A little bit oversaturated with items, but I thought it would work well. Also, talking about saturation, I gotta say, I know I use a lot of very saturated colors, and in-game the skin would look very different because it would be a lot less saturated, but it's just for me since I really like how the colors look like this. During this stage, someone in the forums posted a picture with the models for reference. Then I grabbed that and I started working over it, so I would be getting the proportions right and I would have an on-model idea of what the skin would look like. During this stage, I actually went back on my idea of checking if orange or yellow would work well. I think both colors work really well and could be interchangeable, but I also went back to the idea of the graffiti and that was completely dropped. While I really liked the idea, it didn't fit anymore with what I had in mind, so I didn't use it, but I still made some tests. In the concept phase, with the graffiti, I actually had the backpack be a skateboard, but after that I did change it because that wouldn't fit anymore. Then something I really wanted to have was some glow-in-the-dark stuff, so that's why you can see those really bright bluish, greenish spots all over the skin. And that was my main motivation for some of the stuff I did. I really wanted to have something that would glow in the dark. Not a lot, but something. Now the skin finally represents what I want. Someone who is exposed to some type of danger and also has to clean the area and get rid of the people. Now we get into the final design. I decided to set up with a lot of reference that I could use, using my initial ideas but toning them down. I needed a lot less clutter and wanted to do a cleaner design. Got it? So I start right off into the sketch. I do somewhat of a similar pose to the official one, but I still took my liberties on the posing. I wanted to do what I always try to do, which is proportions, that foreshortening, and all of that I really love. A little story on how this came to be. When I was designing the original idea, what I thought to myself is, make something that you want to see in the game. Well, me. So, make something that I wanted to see in the game and I wanted to play as. So this was actually pretty perfect to my style. In the game, I actually play as Ghostface. So people usually compare the Legion to Ghostface, so then I thought, well, if I had to make it on an original character, then I will do it for the Legion. And while it's very different from what I would imagine a skin for Ghostface, I still thought it would be something that I would really enjoy. And then I thought, well, if I'm gonna make a skin like this, it has to have a reason to exist, and that's why I created the comic. I thought it would be a really fun idea and a challenge to do something I never usually do. I never do stories, I never do things like that, but I was really inspired by the concept that I had for the skin. Also, I had to consider, well, since this is a quote-unquote horror game, I had to make something that was actually scary looking. And I think this was actually a way to get there. The concept and the world we live in today, while it is not to be taken as a joke, I think can be very frightening. And while it's not inspired by anything else other than my own ideas, I still find it to be super interesting, and I can only hope this can get in the game and freak out some people. Something that I really wanted to make sure I would do in the drawing was when coloring, I wanted to make it look really shiny, because that texture usually has some shine to it in special places, so I hoped I'd actually achieve that, because that is how it really should come across, as something really plasticky. Now, I should say what ideas I wanted to maintain. First of all, I really like what I did with the helmet and the visor. The visor has some tape in the form of an X, because it's covering a crack that has been done in the visor in some of its adventures. Then I also really like the idea of having some spots that are glowing in the dark, but aside from that, there are also many spots of blood that tell a story. And if you can spot them, then you would see what I mean. So in the final result, I just wanted to point out everything that would be a part of the design. I wanted to give the developers an easier time figuring out all the little details that are in the design. So that's it. Did you like it? Please consider subscribing. I will be making more videos soon, so see ya! Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight. You can use my original song. Dead by Daylight. Alright, enough. Bye.